A soldier's promise, a girl's faith, and a love that endures the battlefield of time. This is the story of two hearts, separated by war, but united by something stronger. Love that refuses to die. When Emma first met Liam, she didn't think much of it. It was a small-town parade, the kind where everyone waved flags, children ran behind the marching band, and the air smelled of popcorn and fresh paint. Liam stood at the end of the parade line, dressed in his uniform, not as a soldier yet, but as a promise of one. He smiled at her when she passed by. And in that moment, that single moment, something unspoken passed between them. Emma didn't believe in love at first sight. She believed in quiet moments, in small details, in the way someone looked at you when you weren't speaking. But that day, the sound of drums faded, and all she could hear was her heartbeat. A week later, they met again. Not by chance. He had asked her friend where she worked. She was serving coffee at a little cafe near the bus station. Liam came every day after training, always asking for the same thing: black coffee, no sugar, and always staying a little longer just to talk. He told her stories about his childhood, his dream to serve his country, his fear of not coming back home one day. And she listened. She always listened. Their love didn't begin with grand gestures. It began with laughter across a cafe table, hands brushing when she passed him the cup, stolen glances when he thought she wasn't looking. But time, as it often does, didn't wait for them. Liam got his orders. Deployment in 6 weeks. When he told her, she didn't cry. She just nodded, eyes glassy but strong. She said softly, "Promise me, you'll come back." And he smiled, reaching for her hand. "I'll come back for you, Emma, no matter what it takes." Those 6 weeks were the longest and shortest of their lives. Every sunset felt like a countdown. Every sunrise a reminder that time was slipping away. They watched movies, walked by the river, sat under the stars without saying a word. Sometimes, silence was all they needed. On his last night before leaving, they stood in the rain. The sky was crying for them. He kissed her forehead and whispered, "If you ever doubt I'll return, just look at the moon. I'll be looking at it too." She smiled through tears. "Then the moon will be our meeting place." He left at dawn. The world felt smaller without him. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Letters came in faded envelopes, some short, some long, all filled with hope. He wrote about the heat, the fear, the laughter between soldiers, and the dreams of home that kept him alive. She wrote about the town, the cafe, her waiting heart. But then, the letters stopped. At first, she thought maybe they were delayed. Then days passed, then weeks, then months. Each evening she'd still go to the mailbox, hoping, praying, whispering his name. But nothing came. People told her to move on, to stop waiting for something uncertain. But how do you stop waiting for the person who holds your soul? She kept his photo on her nightstand. Every night, she'd whisper, "Good night, my soldier," and fall asleep to memories of his voice. One cold morning, a car pulled up outside her house. 2 officers stepped out. Her knees weakened, her heart froze. Time slowed. They handed her a folded flag and a letter. "We're sorry," one of them said softly. She didn't hear the rest. Her world shattered. Inside the envelope was a letter, not from the army, but from Liam. It was dated 2 weeks before the explosion. He had written, "If this reaches you and I don't make it back, promise me you'll keep living. Promise me you'll find joy again even if it's not with me. Because loving you has been my greatest victory." She read it over and over until the ink blurred with her tears. For weeks she couldn't breathe without pain. The world lost its color. But time, cruel and kind, moves on. Seasons changed. The cafe stayed open. And slowly she began to live again, not forgetting him, but carrying him within her. One night, months later, she sat by the river where they used to talk. The moonlight shimmered on the water, silver and soft. She looked up and whispered, "I kept my promise, Liam. I kept living." A soft breeze brushed her face. Gentle, familiar. For a moment, she could almost feel him beside her. Years passed. Emma never married, not because she couldn't love again, but because a part of her heart was already home, with him. She built a life of kindness, of purpose. She opened a small art studio, painting the world in the colors he once described in his letters. Every painting had a touch of moonlight, their silent symbol. Then one evening, while cleaning the studio, she found an old box tucked behind a shelf. Inside was a small envelope she didn't recognize. The handwriting was shaky, but familiar. It was Liam's. She froze, her breath caught. The letter was dated one day before his final mission. "Emma, if I make it back, I'll ask you to marry me under the same moon we promised each other. If I don't, know that I am still keeping that promise, just from a different place. Every time the wind moves your hair, that's me brushing it back. Every time the rain falls, that's me finding a way to hold you. And every time the moon shines, that's me reminding you, I kept my word." Her tears fell silently, but this time they weren't only of pain. They were of love that refused to fade. That night, she went to the hill overlooking the town, the one where he'd once stood in uniform, smiling at her during the parade. The stars were bright, the moon was full. She whispered, "I see you, Liam." And in the quiet of the night, the wind answered, soft, warm, alive. From that moment, she no longer felt alone, because love like theirs doesn't end with goodbye. It lingers in the spaces between heartbeats, in the memories that never age, in the moonlight that connects two souls across time and distance. Years later, when Emma grew old and the world changed around her, people would ask if she ever regretted waiting. She'd smile softly and say, "No, because waiting for the right love, even once in a lifetime, is worth forever." And when her time finally came, her friends found her resting peacefully in her chair, the moonlight spilling through the window. In her hand was Liam's last letter, and beside her, on the nightstand, 2 cups, one empty, one waiting. Outside, the wind stirred gently, almost like a whisper. Some said they heard laughter in the air that night. 2 voices, familiar and free. Maybe love never ends. Maybe it just finds another way to begin.